Hey, 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 happy Monday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com. So tonight is Monday, September 20th, 2021. This is live stream number 695. That's right. So, do want to point out, this may be the first time some people are tuning in to the stream. So this is a very, very casual show. Kick your feet up, relax. We are not practicing rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. I do know that we may have some first-time viewers, so let me explain. The first half of the show is, or thereabouts, the first portion of the show is devoted to the latest tabletop gaming news. And then the second part of the show is devoted to taking a look at a tabletop game. So tonight, I do have an exclusive. I have something very exciting. Excuse me. And it is not a frog in my throat. Jeez. No, tonight, I actually have Twilight 2000 from Free League Publishing. That's right. I am as far as I understand, I am the only outlet that actually has a copy of Twilight 2000. We are going to break this open. We are going to take a first look at this as well. And I'll explain why I've got this copy also. So if you are tuning in to see the unboxing, please be patient. News usually takes about 30 minutes or so. So if you want to do other things, that's cool. But do you want to point out, relax, we will get to it. Also want to mention, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to ding that bell. Because not only will it inform you of when the Dispatch streams live, it'll also tell you when I upload other videos, such as my review of Dungeons & Dragons, The Wild Beyond the Witchlight from Wizards of the Coast. Of course, this review went up last week. This actually arrives in stores tomorrow, and I definitely like this. In fact, I got to point out, I think this is my favorite of the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons adventures. So how's about that? You can find out why I think it's pretty cool as well. Also, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Lastly, this is a live stream, so that means there is chat available. I have to point out, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours to partake in chat. So I do my best to follow chat. If you want to say howdy, or maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, fire away. I will do my best to respond. So let's see who we've got. This is actually our second time around because the first stream was just all choppy and falling apart. And I got to point out, it may not necessarily have been Windows because YouTube's been having some issues today, as far as I know. So it could have been that. I don't know. Everything's looking pretty good. We're not dropping any frames or anything like that at the moment. So let's see. Who do we have? Jason Bradley. I believe Jason's a first-timer hanging out. Welcome aboard. The Madman, Boris, John Vogel, is also with us. Nicholas Stanishek is here as well. I think that is all of chat at the moment. So very, very cool. I know there are some folks who are kind of curious about the like Gen Con. How did Gen Con go and things like that? I am not going to actually discuss that tonight. I'm going to talk about that on Wednesday's show because normally I would be sitting here talking and carrying on. And I know there are people who are going to be like, come on, Jeff, I want to see Twilight 2000. Come on, come on. So I will kind of cover Gen Con on Wednesday's show, but I will say something and I'll get in more detail about it after the news. But I almost got killed yesterday morning. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. I am not one for exaggeration or hyperbole. I almost got killed yesterday morning. All right, but I'll get to that in just a bit. Let's jump on into the news because one of the big Gen Con announcements came from Funko Games. And on the horizon later this year comes the Warriors come out to play. Here's the deets. The roughest and toughest gangs of New York have assembled at a midnight summit where Cyrus, leader of the powerful Gramercy Rifts, is murdered. Everyone wrongly thinks you, the Warriors, are to blame, which means every gang in the city is gunning for you as you try to make your way back to your home turf of Coney Island. In this rowdy cooperative strategy game, you'll need to watch each other's backs to navigate the dangerous streets and subways of New York, dodge rival gangs, and maintain your rep. Make it back to Coney Island and show the Gramercy Rifts you've been framed to prove the Warriors are not just good, but the best of the best. Can you dig it? It is an energetic cooperative gameplay that captures the chaotic, pugnacious action of the beloved film. Includes 7 sculpted miniatures of the leaders of the most recognizable gangs, 8 warriors to choose from so each player can portray their favorite character, and it includes original illustrations and design inspired by 1970s New York. The Warriors Come Out to Play is going to be for 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, plays around 45 minutes or so. It's going to carry an MSRP of $24.99. Not too shabby. I was kind of surprised that MSRP is pretty low. I mean, it's 25 bucks. And if you're interested in getting a bit of a closer look, allow me to share my B-roll footage from my meeting with Funko Games. I talked with Adam Minton of Funko Games. Check out the video because the video's up already. But let's take a peek. It is it's muted. There's no sound, so it only runs maybe about 48 seconds, but you'll get a better look. So it looks pretty interesting. So I think maybe we'll actually get to see a review copy of that as well. So there is some discussion. Kevin R. Smith's like, I have picture but no sound. I know, because I pointed out that it would be muted. There would be no sound for 48 seconds. People don't pay attention to the words that come out of my mouth. Anyway, like I said, if you want to hear more about this, by all means, check out my Funko Games at Gen Con 2021 video, because Adam and I talk about this in a good amount of detail. So, and this is coming later this year. There is no exact release date just yet. Anyway, Kevin Smith is with us. So Kevin's like, I wasn't here when you said that. Hey, at least Kevin wasn't here when it was all choppy and terrible and we had to restart the stream. I know, I was just teasing Kevin. I wasn't being mean. Anyway, so Nicholas says, Gen Con tried to kill Jeff. We'll talk about that. Yeah. 4 more news pieces to go. There is a fun-looking new game on the horizon from Grand Gamers Guild. And here's what I know about the Belgian Beers Race. Have a crazy race through Belgium and its breweries. Visit as many breweries as you can, buy their beers, and drink with moderation throughout a 3 days competition. Optimize your trips cross country. Travel by bike, by public transports, or hitchhiking. People would hitchhike now? I don't know about that. Meet your opponents and drink with them, but watch your blood alcohol level. Hangovers and other obstacles await you. Ready to start? Go on your own Belgian Beers Race, but don't forget, at the end of the 3 days, be back at the Brussels Grand Place to celebrate and declare the winner. I wonder if that's supposed to be Belgian Grand Palace. I don't know. I've never actually, or I should say Brussels Grand Palace. You play the participant of a race through Belgium. Your goal is to visit as many breweries as possible, which are the points on the map. Enjoy their beers, buy them, and return to, I guess it is called the Grand Place in Brussels on time. Your different actions will earn you victory points, and the one with the most victory points, you got it, wins. Of course, remember, alcohol abuse is harmful to your health, so drink in moderation. The Belgian, why did I say Bavarian? The Belgian Beers Race is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in about 60 to 150 minutes. I was very surprised by that. It's going to carry an MSRP of $16 is what I have heard when it arrives next month. So in time for Oktoberfest, I would think most places. All right. So Nicholas says, I think I'd have to be drunk to play that. I think this is made to be kind of, not necessarily a drinking game, but kind of a beer and pretzels sort of game. All right, let's talk about some role-playing game news, because making a Gen Con debut for Chaosium Inc. was the RuneQuest starter set. Here's the skinny. The RuneQuest starter set contains everything you need to play an epic role-playing game of gods, cults, magic, family, and fantasy, and is coming soon. The 4 softcover booklets, interiors filled to the brim with new and select prior artwork, and it's also printed in full color. These books include Book 1, The Rules, a 64-page rule book with all the rules you need to play the contents of the starter set, including skills, combat, passions, spirit, and rune magic, and experience. Cover art is provided by Andrei Fedosov. Then there's Book 2, The World of Glorantha, a 64-page booklet with 2 parts. The first being an overview of the world of Glorantha, its gods, and the Dragon Pass area. And the second half, a spotlight on the city of Johnstown, right in the heart of Sartar. Johnstown was chosen specifically to be a manageable city for players and the game master to base adventures out of. And it has never been described before in this much detail. Inside this book are details of the city, its unique features, and an array of non-player characters, ranging from its importance to its everyday denizens. Finally, rounding it out is a gazetteer of its immediate area. Cover art on this book is provided by Hazem Amin. Then we've got Book 3, Solo Quest. This booklet contains Battle at Dangerford, a 60-page solo adventure designed specifically to teach the rules and introduce Glorantha. In it, the player takes on the role of Vasana, a bison-riding soldier caught up in one of the pivotal battles in Dragon Pass. There's no game master required. All the pieces in this book is actually the team's favorite. Cover art is provided by Eduardo Gutierrez Garcia. Then we finally have Book 4, Adventures. In this 84-page booklet are 3 full-length, ready-to-play adventures. The first, A Rough Landing, takes place immediately after the events in Battle at Dangerford. The second, A Fire in the Dark, is an investigation where the threat may not be what it seems. And the third is an update of the classic RuneQuest adventure, The Rainbow Mounds. The rest of the book is filled with adventure seeds, a rumors table, a section on city encounters, and a simplified calendar. Cover art is provided by Andrei Fetisov. So, altogether, we're looking at about 272 pages of content, dice, maps, pre-generated characters, and more for, just wait for it, an MSRP of $30. Yowza. Now, I was at the Chaosium Inc. Booth in the exhibit hall. I did an interview with both Rick Mintz, and we talked about Call of Cthulhu, and I also talked with Jeff Richard to discuss RuneQuest and especially what's in this starter set. And I got to point out, I think these books are going to be different than like the Call of Cthulhu starter, where the covers of the books were just paper. These are being called soft cover books, and they were out. I did not get an opportunity to take a look. I saw they were out. I did not get an opportunity. I was running a little late because I wasn't expecting to do 2 interviews. I had another interview I had to get to, so I didn't really get much. But there is a little bit of B-roll about the contents. And like I said, it looks like these might be regular softcover books. And I'm telling you, look at that. Look at all those goodies for $30. A lot of folks in chat are saying, oh my gosh, $30? That is awesome. Yeah, I am right with you. So Kevin says they'd like to see this starter set, especially for $30. Clint Gibson has arrived in chat. Very good to see you, Clint. Thanks for coming on by tonight. So this sold out at the show, so I did not get a copy. So, but I'm sure all I got to do is ask, and they will be more than happy to send one along when it's out, because I think this is not going to hit until probably September. Well, I shouldn't say September. We're in September, for crying out loud. See, I am so used to Gen Con being, July, maybe August. What year is it now, Jeff? I don't know. I have no idea. Yikes. This looks excellent, though. I really have to say, this looks great. I got my fingers crossed that I get a copy of this as well. I think it is like an October release. So, moving right along, Star Trek Adventures, the Shackleton Expanse Campaign Guide is out in print and PDF. And here's what I know. Into the Unknown, the Shackleton Expanse Campaign Guide for the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game presents a thrilling, all-new area of the Beta Quadrant to explore, the Shackleton Expanse. Countless wonders and mysteries await within, including strange spatial phenomena that confuse sentient life forms, as well as starship sensors, alien technologies, powerful enough to move or obliterate entire star systems, dangerous new species to encounter, and so much more. Explore strange new worlds, a detailed sandbox setting centered on the Shackleton Expanse and Starbase 364, the only jointly run Federation Klingon starbase. Seek out new life and new civilizations. 5 new playable alien species, including the Orions, and 4 species unique to the Shackleton Expanse. Boldly go where no one has gone before. An epic 10-part campaign spanning the original series and next generation eras, featuring the mysterious Telekal. Guidance on how to create your own stories and set them in the Shackleton Expanse and beyond across a century or more of the Star Trek timeline. There's a large selection of NPCs found in and near the Expanse, including the command staff of Starbase 364 and many new life forms. Starship statistics for hero vessels, as well as NPC starcraft from a variety of alien species, both new and familiar. There's also historical excerpts, personal logs, and intercepted communications, providing fresh perspectives on events related to the Shackleton Expanse. All contents are adaptable for use with groups of pioneering Starfleet officers or fearless Klingon warriors. This book does require the Star Trek Adventures core rulebook, or I would take a guess, probably the Star Trek. Did I say Star Wars? I don't think I said Star Wars. You need to have the Star Trek Adventures core book. I would take a guess you also could play it with the Star Trek Klingon book, because I thought that's a core rule book too. I have not seen it. Anyway, do have to point out this 320-page hardcover is available for $60. You can grab the PDF alone at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Good to see Modiphius Entertainment continuing to support Star Trek Adventures. Modiphius has been coming out with quite a bit of stuff. It's too bad they weren't at Gen Con, because I would certainly have talked to Chris Birch about possibly reviewing the new 2D20 Achtung Cthulhu. So, but they weren't. That's why you will notice that there aren't as many interviews as you might be used to from my visits to Gen Con, because there were far fewer exhibitors there. So, but there's a good number. I think I've already got 7 of the interviews up. So I'm more than halfway through my interviews. 245 Trioxin is with us. Hey, good to see you, 245T. Thanks for swinging on in. All right, my final news piece. Cubicle 7 has released Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound Champions of Death. In PDF, I've got the dope. Kneel before the champions of death. Kneel before Zod. Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound Champions of Death allows players to create tragic, damned, and twisted undead characters for, you guessed it, Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound. The book features new undead species, new archetypes, new talents, and devastating new spells and miracles. Champions of Death includes insights into the great necromancer Nagash, its history with Soulbound, and why he may deign to forge a deadly binding with his own skeletal hands. There's rules to play as horrifying ghouls, skeletal wights, vindictive soulblight vampires, spectral night haunts, or powerful Osiarch, say Osiarch bone reapers, as well as advice on how and why your character became soulbound, and dozens of sample short and long-term goals. 20 new death-focused archetypes, such as the Vampire Lord and Knight of Shrouds, as well as rules for playing sub-factions, such as the Blister Skin of the Flesh Eater Courts, the Mortis Praetorians of the Osiarch Bone Reapers, the Viricose Dynasty of the Soulblight Gravelords, and many more. So over 50 new talents, 10 powerful new miracles of Nagash, and 50 new spells drawn from the twisted lores of magic wielded by the undead, including 5 terrifying new endless spells. There's over 30 new endeavors for undead characters to undertake, as well as new dark rituals to unleash on your foes. Host a grand feast of the Flesh Eater Courts, bestow the blood kiss of the Soul Blight vampires, or raise a horde of zombies to do your bidding. Finally, there's also advice for game masters and players on running death-focused campaigns, as well as statistics for over a dozen servants of the forces of order for your champions of death to face. The 144-page Soulbound Champions of Death PDF is available over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Nice. Another big release for Soulbound. Cubicle 7, another company that continually supports their game lines really, really well. Pretty sweet. All right, so I was talking about DriveThruRPG, and it's important to keep in mind that the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, DriveThruRPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com first, click on one of our banner ads, and that way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up. And of course, if you like the channel, if you like the website, if you like what I do and you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee or a Coke or something, you can certainly do that as well at paypal.me/thegaminggang. Yaha! So, also somebody had mentioned, I forget who it was, said, hey, Jeff, you're like a lot closer to the camera right now. Yeah, remember, this is the camera that I brought with me to Gen Con. So it's sitting on the tripod I was using at Gen Con. So I had to tear everything apart to take it with. So I put it all back together. I'll probably be a little further back on other videos. So, yes. Anyway, so it's Mew says, champions of hangovers. I play games to escape reality, not recreate it. So, yes, it's Mew is here with us as well. All right. Very cool. So, Jason is pointing out that my Gen Con coverage has been great. Thank you very much. I did not have a cameraman at all, which is always a pain because I have to set everything up, break everything down, and of course I'm carrying on a conversation with somebody from the company that I'm doing an interview with or did an interview with at the same time, and it's just, I might as well be a juggler. So as I mentioned, if you're tuning in a little bit late, do want to mention that I will talk about Gen Con on Wednesday's show. I am not going to do kind of a Gen Con recap of what I did and, different things like that, because I know a lot of people really want to jump in and check out Twilight 2000 from Free League Publishing. But before I do, I mentioned in the open of the show, I almost got killed yesterday. And I'm not joking. I am not exaggerating or anything like that. So here's what happened. So I had checked out of the hotel. So I stayed at the Crown Plaza. I checked out and was heading over. Well, I put, of course, my luggage in my car, which I was parked next door in the underground parking. So, and that was fantastic. I loved it. Except for the cost of the underground parking. But so anyway, so I had my gear there. So I grabbed my gear because I wasn't going to I figured might as well have it down in the car, not have to carry, make 2 trips when I check out. And I'm strolling along. I've got a morning meeting with AEG at 10 a.m. And it was kind of a group thing. And you will see the interview. I should have my interviews and that done tomorrow. But I'm walking along, and it's over at the Westin, downtown Indianapolis. So it's about like 4 blocks away. So for some reason, I was thinking that it was on the other side of Washington Street. So I'm waiting to cross the street, and the light changes, It changes to walk. I start stepping out. Somebody runs the red light because there was a Colts game that was starting at 1 o'clock there. I'm assuming this person was like in a hurry to try to get to a parking garage or something because they were wearing a Colts jersey. So they ran the red light and they were going fast. Slammed into another car. And both those cars, once they collided, started heading right towards me. I mean, a beeline towards me. And of course, I see this and I'm like, I won't repeat what I said. Like, holy. And thankfully, there's still a little life in these legs yet. And I was able to scramble out of the way. Now, I got pelted with all this debris. So I threw my arm up and I had a backpack and that with, well, like a little backpack that the camera goes into and camera gear. And the car that ran the red light was going so fast that it ended up slamming into the building on the corner. So, of course, yeah, luckily I was able to scramble out of the way. If I had been listening to like AirPods or earbuds, I'm sure I would have been taken out. I'd have been taken out, would not have been paying attention well enough to have seen that as it developed and go, whoa, here it comes. I'm getting out of the way. So that's pretty wild. Pretty wild. So it's Muse says, I passed my dexterity check. Boris says, I made my dodge roll. Keldon's joined us. Hi, Keldon. Welcome aboard. Says, glad you made your dex check. Yeah, I was like, holy cow. And of course, I ran over to the car that hit the building, and there were other people. The weird thing was there was nobody on the corner that I was crossing on, but there were other people on other corners, and everybody went, some people ran to one car. I and some other folks ran to the car that hit the building. It might even have been on the news in Indianapolis. I don't know, or in the newspaper or something, because you figure this was downtown Indy on a game day. So it might have actually made the news. I don't know. But according to the two drivers, they both said that they were okay. So I was like, okay, all right. I'm like, are you sure? They're like, yeah. Somebody said, well, I'm calling an ambulance anyway. I was like, okay. And the thing was, I was like, okay, well, I'm heading over to AEG then. Go to the Westin. So a lot of fun interviews. Had a good time talking to some people. I had an opportunity to talk to Wolfgang Bauer from Cobalt Press. Don't worry, we'll talk Wednesday. He was very, very cool, really nice. I think the gaming gang's got a new friend in Cobalt Press. All right, so I understand there are probably people tuning in because they want to get a peek at Twilight 2000, which is from Free League Publishing. It is successfully kickstarted recently, and it is making its way to Kickstarter backers right now. Do want to point out, I do not have a specific release date for retail for this, but I do understand it's going to carry an MSRP of course, you got to keep in mind the exchange rate if you're ordering it online, say, trying to pre-order. I think it's carrying an MSRP of $59.95. So let's swing on over to the camera. Here we've got Twilight 2000. So something I want to point out for folks out there who might be Kickstarter backers of Twilight 2000, this is not some backer's copy. So this was not on sale at Gen Con, because we've seen that before. Not from Free League, but I'm saying we've seen companies do that where they'll go to a convention selling a game that they kickstarted and the backers don't have it yet. This is not that situation. This was somebody from Free League who was at the con, a bigwig with Free League, gave me their copy and said, hey, you know what, Jeff, we really love all the exposure, all your coverage, and really appreciate everything you do. And said, hey, you know what, we want to do something special for your outlet. And this was it. Now, my review, or I shouldn't say review, my interview with Free League Publishing is not up yet. That's another one that will be up tomorrow. So we're going to dive on in. Do want to point out, I am not going to page through every page of the books. We are going to see what's in here. I am going to take a peek to see, talk about what's on the back of the box. I have some familiarity with Twilight 2000 because when I was in high school, I want to say, I think it was my friend Scott Weigel who had, well, I mean, at the time, a bunch of us would have the same games. If it was an RPG, a bunch of us would go get them. So Kevin points out he assumed it was one of the company's free copies. Just mentioning it because the thing is, I had to hide this when I was making my way out of the convention center because, and I knew I was going to ask for a bag anyway because I didn't want people stopping and saying, hey, where'd you get that? How'd you get that? Is that for sale? No. So anyway. So Jason says, according to Free League, it's going to ship in September. Very cool. Very cool. You know what? Maybe that was mentioned in the interview. I don't know. I may have forgotten. All right. So Calais, we're still only in Calais. We need to get out of here fast. The artillery barrages are getting closer. The Soviets will be here soon. Sarge says we move out after dark. I'm not sure we'll last that long. A classic role-playing game returns. This new retro apocalyptic edition of Twilight 2000 goes back to the roots of the franchise with open-world role-playing and the devastation of World War III. Just like the original 1984 edition, this new game is set in a year 2000, devastated by war, now in an alternate timeline where the Soviet Union never collapsed. Twilight 2000 is a role-playing game about survival in mankind's most desperate hour. Yet in this bleak world, there is still hope. In the midst of utter destruction, you can start to build something new, rally people to your ranks, stake a claim and protect it, and maybe, if you live long enough, start turning the tide. We aren't going to talk about what's in the box here because we're going to take a look at the box. So Jason says, I checked the Free League website. I've got it on speed dial. Clint points out, hey, cool. I can't wait for the Free League interview. A lot of focus on Twilight 2000. But as I started to say, we played this when we were in high school. Not a ton. I got to be honest. I always thought the mechanics were pretty wonky. I did not care for the mechanics. I didn't. And I loved the GDW. I really did. But something about the mechanics, just, I loved the setting. I loved the story. So we're going to jump on in because there's loads of stuff here. All right. We've got free candy. Nice. I always enjoy this. Really good candy there. So we have 15 custom dice. And we will get a closer look as well. We've got some decks of cards. We're going to take a look at those. Got a games catalog from Free League. Free Legon. I understand we've got a bunch of maps in here as well. Carl has joined us. Hey, welcome aboard. I believe this is your first visit. Thanks for hanging out with us. So pre-gen? No, this is like a, it's almost like an Intel sheet. So we've got those. Like I said, I heard there's a bunch of maps. Like there's 4 maps that are like devoted to specific scenarios. So Jason says they own the first edition, but never ran it. I remember, I think like I said, I'm pretty sure it was my friend Scott Weigel who ran a little bit of the Twilight 2000 stuff. And I know we played a little bit of Free City of Krakow. And I understand that this has the original setting, which is Poland, and the kind of overarching storyline of the American troops are trying to get the hell back home to America. But there's also a new locale, and it's Sweden. So Carl says, no, sorry, it's just Carl. Forgot to change my name back. Good to see you, Carl. I was going to say. No, Keldon says, Free City of Krakow. No, Free City of Krakow. Actually, these maps are nice. They're not just paper. There's a bit of a finish to them. Those will hold up pretty nicely. So I'm taking a guess these are the 4 maps that are tied into the adventures that are in the referee's book. That's my guess here. So we've got, oh man, this is a big one. And it is 1. This looks like this is a map of Europe, maybe, possibly. Fold this out. So I'll take a guess. On one side, we've got Poland, because there's Krakow, Free City of Krakow. That was funny. Koditz, there's Warsaw up there. Once again, this also has a bit of a finish to it. There's the other side. And each hex is 10 kilometers. See what we got on the back. Yep, I thought so. Here's Sweden. So as you can see, these are big. These are like poster maps. This is poster map size. Nice. So we've got that. See what else looks like. We got some character sheets or a character sheet. No, it's a pad. It's a pad of character sheets. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's not. It felt like it was a little pad. So we got 5 blank character sheets. Single-sided. So when we jump into the books, I will kind of discuss what I understand the new system. And it is kind of based on the year 1 engine that is utilized in a lot of Free League publishing games. Not all, but quite a few. Andy Sykes has joined us. Good to see you, Andy. Points out they had the first edition, didn't really like the mechanics. I agree. Second wasn't any better. Yes, I understand that as well. I'm right with you on that. I have no idea about the 3rd edition because, as far as I understand, this is actually the 4th edition of Twilight 2000. I could be wrong, but I thought I had heard somewhere along the way that this is the 4th edition. So Jason points out, gotta love Free League and Hex maps. Running my group through Forbidden Lands. There you go. That was one of my favorite role-playing games of, was it 2018 it came out? Made my my video for my favorite games. So we got 5 of those. We got more maps. Got some counter sheets too. So these are smaller. These look like these are like encounter maps. Like so. And this is cardstock. I'm not sure. I'm taking a guess that the scale of this is an individual per hex, an individual character per hex. I'm not positive. A lot of like rural areas here forested areas. I think all in all, hey, well, these are the ruins of the house or shack or something, farm maybe. I was going to say, I believe there are 15 maps. There we go. Now we get into an urban area. A little difficult to make out the hex lines on that one. This one too. I mean, I can see them, but they're not easy to see. Well, looks like a bombed out area here. Huh. Another bombed out area. Not sure what that is. Well, that certainly wouldn't be just a single character scale. This are probably because one of the things I was looking at is, I mean, these are obviously trees. So the size of these, like the illustrations of the trees, that'd be pretty weird. Well, one character takes up that whole hex. All right, so we've also got a counter sheet. So we'll get a better look at this as well. I'll kind of let's see if good old Sony picks us up. Come on, Sony. Your autofocus is halfway decent. It's like there's a reason why you're the overhead camera. There's quite a few soldiers, and the soldiers are not all male, and these are dual sided. So it looks like we've got the soldiers standing and then prone. Got some vehicles, got some informational counters as well. So, whole bunch of goodness right there. Let's move that out of the way. So let's take a look at what I would. Jason says there ends. Keldon says in this timeline, that's right, because it's an alternate history. People are the size of trees. It's from the radiation. It's from the radiation, obviously enough, from the fallout. So we've got the player's manual. We've got the referee's manual. Player's manual's a bit thicker. So let's kind of dive in. From my understanding, the core system of mechanics is a dice pool, just like we had for the year one engine. So if you've played, obviously enough, Mutant Years, it's year zero engine. Why do I always say year one? It's the year zero engine. So of course, obviously enough, if you played Mutant Year Zero, if you played Tales from the Loop, if you've played Alien uses a little bit of that as well. But my understanding, and we'll take a look at the dice too. My understanding is that you'll have dice pools, but they are not all six-sided dice. So we do have various sizes of dice, ranging from a D6 to a D12. Once again, as I mentioned, if you're tuning in a little bit later, I'm not doing a page through. We're not taking a look at each and every page here, but I do want to give you a feel for this book, what we're looking at here. I'm a fan of Free League. Not only do they make really excellent role-playing games, but they're all really nice people. Whenever I deal with them, they're always super, super cool. So here we've got some of our archetypes, the gunner, the kid. I'm sure there's not a problem if we look at all the archetypes, share those. So we got the civilian, the grunt, the gunner, the kid, the mechanic, the medic, the officer, the operator, and the spook. So those are our archetypes. So we have some life path for life paths, I should say, for character creation. Looks like this is some discussion of soldiers of the various allies and enemies. So we've got the Soviet Union, Sweden, Poland, local militias, civilian experience as well. So remember, keep in mind that this is an alternate history where the Soviet Union did not collapse. It's kind of funny in my interview with Free League, we were talking about how when Twilight 2000 came out, of course, that was like future. Oh my gosh, it's like, possible future. Now it's like alternate retro. So, all right, Omanal's with us tonight as well. Welcome, Omanal. Carl, aka Kringle, says we used to play with very large groups back in the day, like a dozen players or more. I wonder how many players it assumes you'll have now. Interestingly enough, on the back of the box, I can swear that I just saw when we were taking a peek that there was a player count, and I think it said 2 to 6. Isn't that interesting how back in the day, it was kind of a given that these adventures would be written for, big groups of like, 7 to 10 players. Good luck getting that number of people around a table these days, or even before the pandemic. So, combat and damage. So my understanding is there's even a hit location die. My understanding is that the whole combat mechanics have been streamlined, where you're effectively just making one roll with multiple dice. There's an ammo die as well. I'm just kind of curious. We're going to actually take a look at each of the pages in the combat section. So talking about ambushes, social conflict, close combat, ranged combat. But as you can see, we're not seeing pages and pages devoted to, say, for an example, melee. And we got page and a half, effectively. So Kevin says, once grown-ups with jobs and full schedules became a big part of the audience, those numbers had to be adjusted. Yes. I can't even imagine teenagers like when I got into like heavy role playing with my high school friends. Can't even imagine 7 to 10 high school kids getting together around a table. I don't know. I have fantastic memories of our high school gaming. Maybe we'll talk about those for episode 700 coming up. Jason says they ran a 20-player Golden Heroes game at school. No chance these days. No, I wouldn't see that. You'd be lucky if you could get 4 players and a game master. So Omanal says college was the only time they got those kind of numbers, and when they were in the military. That brings up a good point. Andy Sykes is with us. I'm not sure if I said hello to Andy or not. So I will say hello to Andy again. My nephew's in the Air National Guard training. I think he graduates Friday. Then he's off for some other training for about a month. And he's been running Dungeons and Dragons, which I told him, do not call it Dungeons and Dragons, because you're not running Dungeons and Dragons. You're running what you think of as kind of like D&D and stealing stories that I ran, damn it. But he said that they had like 12 or 14 people playing. I was like, holy cow. I sent a bunch of dice. So we've got different injuries. So, of course, one thing I remember in the Twilight 2000, the first edition, at least the early 80s edition, combat was, of course, very, very deadly, but not as deadly as Morrow Project's. Morrow Project was, boy, I'll tell you, you could you could have a combat that ran like one round. Be like, whoa, bunch of one shots there. So we've got info on vehicles. There we go, weapons, vehicles, and gear. So I noticed this is line art. It has kind of a grittier look to it as well. It's a bottle of Budweiser to use as a weapon. I know it doesn't say Bud, but it kind of looks like Bud. So we've got that. Looks like we've got civilian weapons, military weapons for the U.S. Ah, yes. The law. Yeah. Of course, keep in mind, I'm up here picture in picture. That's to throw pirates off. Even that's another reason why we're flipping through, more than one page at a time, taking a peek. Keep in mind, this is the player's book. So this is the kind of info that's usually reserved for the game master's book. So I'm taking a stab that the referee's manual is going to probably be broken up into information on how to run the game, just more like advice on how to run it, and probably some adventures. We've got the different military vehicles. So we've got the M113, the Bradley, M2, M3, M1 Abrams, because of course, this is what was available in the year 2000. Kevin says another group 10 years ago at the new incarnation of a club had 16 members from the merger of two groups, but that only lasted a week or two. All right, so we got the Soviets, the T series of tanks, Swedish military vehicles, Polish military vehicles. And we get into gear with body armor, medical supplies, electricity, food and drink, field gear, fuel and stills. Okay, so one aspect of this game that I know is going to be a little bit different than the original Twilight 2000 is there is a base building aspect if you'd like. So if you want to follow along the original sort of campaign that GDW released, where it's American troops who are trying to get back to America from Europe, you certainly can. But there is also the aspect of maybe the characters are going to establish a base and, maybe try to protect civilians and maybe try to, turn the tide of battle. So that's something new. So there is some information about that. Here we've got info on travel, weather, tasks, shifts, keeping watch, scrounging, and foraging, which there is a difference between those two. So we got some info on various different items. Alarm clock, aspirin bottle. I would say I like the art. It's not blowing me away, but I knew that this was going to have a different art style, that this was going to have a line art style to give it a grittier sort of look and feel. So we're looking at total, really 149 pages of gaming content here. Flaming Heron's joined us. Good to see you, Flaming Heron. Got to tell you, this soft cover looks like it would hold up pretty well. The page stock is very nice thick page stock. But that's something we see from Free League all the time. Really, really nice production quality, and really, really well produced books as well. Okay, so that is the player's manual. Last thing we're going to take a look at here is the referee's manual. So let's see if I was right with my guess. Let's see if we've got maybe half of the page space devoted to advice on how to run the game and some rules and that, and the rest maybe adventures. And of course, you saw I took the shrink wrap off of this box, so I honestly don't know. So we got the world at war. So we got some background. Your job as the referee. We've got encounters, factions and forces, scenario sites, solo rules, conversion rules, I guess for earlier editions as well. So I guess, well, we'll see. So the world at war, there you go. The nukes are dropping. Somebody was playing nuclear war from Flying Buffalo Games, and there's like 100 megatons there. So we got a lot of background. Now, there was background as well. There was backstory. Some people like to refer to that as fluff in the player book also. So you're getting an overview of Poland and their military forces. Once again, I'm going to skip past some pages here. You're not going to see every page. So we've got Sweden, the order of battle for Sweden. So their forces as well. I'm sure they're NATO forces. We got France, United Kingdom, other countries, Germany, of course. America. It's going to tell us what's going on in America and the rest of the world. So we get your job as a referee. So kind of, it looks like here we go. Principles of the game. The end is never set. Death is a part of life. Players lead the way. That's that's advice that I try to give new game masters all the time. Players lead the way. The players are the stars of the movie. And you may have cool NPCs, and you can use those cool NPCs, but never, ever take away the spotlight from your players. So Jason says they're a big fan of Free League. Yes, because Jason had pointed out that he had their website on speed dial. So Twilight 2000 is the only one that he doesn't have yet. Right? Hope never dies. There you go. Talking about starting the game. You get encounters. Talking about typical NPCs. I understand that Free League is also going to try. I think they're already working on it. I know it's in the pipeline. I should say no. I'm pretty sure that's in the pipeline. But I guess there was like discussion that they're going to actually do kind of like Free City of Krakow. And I think, if I remember right, I think there were only like 4 or 5 adventures that were originally released for the first edition of Twilight 2000. There were splat books of equipment and gear and stuff like that. Vehicles, weapons, but I don't know. So we've got, so it looks like, there you go. Omenal pointed out too, as I was taking a peek, that you'll be using cards for random encounters. So Kevin says, yes, Jason doesn't have it because it's not out yet. I believe it has gotten through customs. All right, so we've got quite a few there. So we've got some random tables here as well. Those are, looks like they're rolled on a 10-sided die. So we got factions and forces. So we're going to break down of the military units. So I had to say that Twilight 2000 was a very popular role-playing game with people who were war gamers, who were Grolions, because there was, and of course, Frank Chadwick was the designer. If I remember correctly, I think it was Frank Chadwick. And of course, Frank's known for a lot of war games. So its Muse says that they love the gritty art. I think it's okay. I like it. Like I said before, it's not knocking me out. This is the artwork. This is the kind of stuff I'm like, yeah, that's what I expect from Free League. The chapter. I need a sip. I haven't taken a sip yet. I don't know why I said I haven't taken a sip yet. Like it's, like it's scotch or something. That's just caffeine-free Diet Coke because that's what was on sale. So Flaming Heron's asking if this is going to get a PDF release. It will. It does not have one yet. But I will tell you that when I do the review, and I am embargoed on my review, I have to talk to Bull from Free League Publishing. She's my contact. She's like their PR person. She sent me an email not too long ago talking about an embargo on reviews of Twilight 2000. So Jason had pointed out it's supposed to be out in September. So we got America Town. Hey, everybody, welcome to America Town. So these are some kind of scenario locations. I wonder if these I would take a guess these probably match up with those maps. Different NPCs. So we're not looking at actual full-fledged adventures. It's showing us like different scenarios, different encounters that you can build into your game. So honestly, it does look like about half the book is devoted to adventuring. So we've got the burnt town. That looks like that's the map of the burnt town. And of course, as I mentioned before, I'm skipping pages here, so there's more content than you're actually seeing, obviously enough. So we got a scenario site generator. Here we got the solo rules, if you want to play solo rules. Conversion rules. It says, using the tables and rules in this appendix, you can easily convert PCs, NPCs, weapons, and vehicles from the first and second editions of Twilight 2000 to the fourth. So yes, I was right. This is the fourth edition. You can also use these guidelines to create fourth edition stats for any vehicles and weapons in the world. Nice. So there's the conversion rules. That's one thing I was going to mention was that I know you can get in PDF the old GDW Twilight 2000 adventures. So if you were going to pick up Twilight 2000, this new edition, then if you were going to be a referee, then it would probably be a good idea maybe to pick up those adventures in PDF because I don't believe they're very expensive. All right, so we were talking about, there we go, yeah. So for ages 16 and up, 2 to 6 players, because we were discussing if there was any indication on like a recommended player count. And I had said I thought I saw it where it said it went up to 6, and it did. So we got the referee's manual. We got the player's manual. We have a punch board of counters. We got a bunch of maps. Now, these maps here, these are cardstock maps. A relatively slim cardstock. They're not like a GMT war game mounted board or anything like that. We have 5 character sheets here. So our attributes and skills are strength, agility, intelligence, and empathy. And then we have heavy weapons, close combat, stamina, driving, mobility, ranged combat, recon, survival, tech, command, persuasion, medical aid. So that's what we're seeing there. And it looks like our hit locations, head, arms, torso, and legs. So we've got the really big poster map. On one side, we have Poland. The other side, we have Sweden. And then we've got these two maps we looked at first out of the box. These look like they are kind of like scenario specific or encounter specific that are in there. Then we've got two different kind of secret dossiers of information as well. So Flame Heron says, us poor Australians just hope for the best because of that damn shipping cost. I know. Right. So that's this stuff. We still have some cards as well as some dice. And the reason I didn't take a peek at these earlier is because I'm going to zoom in so we can get a bit of a better look. All right. So first off, we're going to open up the bag here with the dice. So Disavowed 92 has joined us. Good to see you, Disavowed. So Disavowed is saying this was a great game back in the 90s. See, and it's kind of funny because most of us were talking about, the mechanics sucked. Very interesting setting, pretty cool. Didn't care for the mechanics. All right, so we got some 6-sided dice. So I don't know if these are, I think these might be the ammo dice. I'm not sure. So we've got 10-siders, we've got 8-siders, we've got some 6s there, and we've got the 12s. This is our hit location die. So we got 6 of these. So I'm guessing, I don't know yet. And sometimes people get mad when I guess. And it's like, oh, you're reviewing this, you should know. And it's like, no, you just saw me open the box. How am I reviewing this? We're just taking a look. I think these are the ammo dice. Because for one, there's a cartridge on that. That is our hit location die. I think. You got to look kind of close because I guess there's like a little shot mark. So that's like a headshot. That looks like it's the arms. That's torso. Do we have legs? We've got to have legs. I don't know. Maybe not. Okay. So we got the 6-siders, the 8-siders, 10-siders, and 12-siders. Because your dice pool, the more skill you have, or the higher your skill, the larger the die you're going to use. And I believe you also add an ammo die when you're, fighting, as well as a hit location die. So those are the dice. So those are 15 custom dice. They are cut. It is not painted on. It is not silk screened on. These are cut dice. Not a ton of heft because they are just, standard plastic, but still. I see we've got like almost like crosshairs. We've got like a hit, 2 crosshairs. And then it's funny, if you need reading glasses, you're going to be busting them out because the numbers are above. So that looks like that's 9. That's the 12. That's got like 2 of the crosshairs. But these are nice. I like these. That's a lot of custom dice. Usually, when you have a box set from Free League, usually you get like 8 dice, and of course, the year 0 engine. I know I kept saying year 1. The year 0 engine normally only uses the 6-sided dice. So, just the standard 0 engine resolution is pretty simple. You've got so many 6-sided dice that you roll based on your attributes and skills and things like that. And if you hit a 6, you succeed. Easy peasy. All right, so we have 1 deck of encounters. Ta-da! So, very nice. We have a linen finish on these as well. I don't think I can get any closer in. No, that's as far in as I can get. Forest fire, pack of wolves, booby trap vehicle, ground zero, full tank, hungry and angry, my kill, my meat, marauder roadblock, murderous bastards, shoot on sight, superior firepower, outnumbered, for my country, dense fog, rabid dogs, viper's nest, the final rest. They are reusing some artwork, I noticed. House on fire, desperate times, hunters and their prey, everything has a price. What you got? Cash is king. I don't know if that'd be the case anymore. Drop your weapons, loaded like a freight train, buying and selling, sunshine, human's best friend, the smell of victory. I love the smell of victory in the morning. The watering hole, the final rest, the orphans, in good company, join us or die. The ambush, the carnage, death from above. Prisoner blues, the magnificent few. Rain of ash, bear's den, the battlefield. Armageddon, watch your step, the old wanderer, a pound of flesh, death from below. That's in order. So we had death from above. Now we got death from below. Obviously, mines. Hammer of God, the kill zone, prisoners of war, and the mad king. So we have the suit as well as the card. So this is an ace. It's telling us the encounter name. Then we have these icons that are telling us about the encounter itself, gives us a faction, how many, and then a bit of just kind of almost like bullet points of the encounter itself. That is very cool. I like that. That's pretty nice. All right, so that is the encounters deck. And obviously enough, you don't necessarily have to use an encounters deck randomly. Then we got an initiative deck. I think these go 1 to 10. So I'm taking a stab. I might be wrong, but based on probably, I think, wasn't it agility that we saw? Wasn't that one of the attributes? Based on your agility and probably a roll, you're going to go in order. You know who? Okay. So you go first, so you get that card. You go second, you get that card. The NPC's going third, they'll get that card. The other NPC's getting that. Kind of an idea of that might be how the initiative deck is utilized. Once again, we just opened this up. I don't know. Don't hold. I can't believe that Jeff, he's so stupid. He thought you just use those agility attributes. Yeah, I know. Sometimes it happens. Jason points out there'll be a Foundry virtual tabletop module at some point. Free League has started to put their games onto that platform. I got to tell you, I am not well versed by any stretch with virtual tabletops, but I do have Foundry. I was Cubicle 7 has a tie-in with Foundry, and they were kind enough to supply me with a copy, and I messed around with it a little bit, and I like it. It's very cool. I think it's certainly better in my opinion than Roll20. I think Roll20 is probably, and I don't mean any disrespect, but I think Roll20 is sort of the lowest. That's like the lowest tier for virtual tabletops as far as I'm concerned. All right, so this is all the goodies that we've got in Twilight 2000 from Free League Publishing. That's right. This is coming. Word is in September. So Flaming Heron says that they think this is about $75 US, including shipping, but not as bad as they thought it was going to be. See, the funny thing is, as you can see, the Sony can zoom way out. It's getting zoomed in and keeping the camera out of this shot here. That's the problem. Because if I bring that Sony down further, you're going to see it. And then, of course, I could zoom in more, but then you see the camera hanging here, my overhead camera. All right. So once again, this looks pretty nice. I'm liking this. I'm digging this. Of course, I've got to dive in, check it out. Once I have official word, like I said, for some reason, I think the embargo on the reviews is like October. I'll have to check the date. But I will be diving into this very, very soon. All right. So, what is cooking on Wednesday's show? Well, I'll tell you. We're going to take a first look. We're going to unbox The Rocketeer, Fate of the Future from Funko Games. That's right. This was the Gen Con release at Gen Con for Funko. I should point out, I also received Pan Am, Fast and the Furious, and the Goonies. And it's funny because I had thought of getting the Goonies, and you know me, as you know, I don't buy games. I mean, I don't have finances to be buying games. But I had considered it because I thought, okay, for one, that's a review that'll probably bring people in. And two, I can always give it to Elliot when I'm done with the review because I'm sure he and his family would just love it. But I can't, every time I go to Target, it's never there. So fine folks over at Funko were kind enough to give me a copy of four different games. So, and the Goonies is one. Very cool. So Kevin says, Kickstarter copies of Twilight 2000 are on their way to port. They're not in port. Expected to be import ready for distribution next month, according to the past Kickstarter update. That's what I had thought. That's why when there was mention that the game was going to be out this month, I was sort of like, I don't think so. That's why I mentioned that this was a personal copy of some a bigwig over at Free League. This was not something that was on sale at Gen Con, and it was not like something like all the reviewers out there are getting these copies and that before the Kickstarter backers. No, this was an exclusive look. And I want to say a big thank you to the fine folks over at Free League Publishing for providing me the review copy that we just got to take a peek at. And once I know the embargo date, I'll mention that. So anyway, so we're going to look at The Rocketeer on Wednesday. On Monday, I am undergoing some oral surgery. I do not know how that is going to end up. I can tell you that there will not be a show next Monday. Just not. Because for one, I got to take the train down into Chicago again. So that eats up the whole day. So no show on Monday, but fingers crossed, I think everything will be all right. And should be a Wednesday show. Otherwise, if I'm like in a lot of pain or something, then won't be any shows next week. I'll be taking the week off. But regardless, the show after The Rocketeer, we're going to take a look at the Scarlet Citadel from Kobold Press. If you were watching early, I have an interview with Wolfgang Bauer of Kobold Press. It's a fun interview. It'll also be up tomorrow. I should have all my final Gen Con interviews finished tomorrow. So, Flaming Heron points out, hopefully all goes well. Oh, it should. It should be fine. It should be okay. But it's a long game kind of thing. So Andy points out, just take care of yourself. Yes, thank you. I have been. It was funny. I will talk about Gen Con, kind of give you a lowdown on what was going on Wednesday's show. But I will tell you that the first day, well, I got there on Wednesday, and then I went out and hung out with, I'm sure it's okay if I say this. So I hung out with Stephen Bonacore, and I always forget Bill's last name, who is he's the art director for Stronghold, and I believe Indie Boards and Cards, and some other folks as well. Got to meet Corey from Dice Tower News, and I imbibed quite a bit. So Thursday, I was kind of dragging tail a little bit. And by about 2 o'clock, I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do this kind of stuff anymore. I am just dragging. And the next day, Friday, was fine. It was like, yeah, it was, a little hair of the dog. That's what it was. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. This is a pretty long show tonight. Very cool. Even though this was our second take, but hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you do like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. If you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, but it'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my Gen Con interviews and my review of Dungeons & Dragons: The Wild Beyond the Witchlight from Wizards of the Coast, which hits stores tomorrow. Thank you so much, everybody who was hanging out, watching live. Always appreciate people taking some time out to watch this goofball going at it. But I know a lot of people out there don't have an opportunity to watch live. So if you watch after the fact, maybe even watching on Memorex, by all means, thank you very much as well. Everybody enjoy the rest of their Monday night. I'll be back on Wednesday. Of course, till I see you next time, here's hoping you get to enjoy some great gaming with your very own gang. Oh, you're still here. Well, while you're kicking it, how about subscribing to the Gaming Gang channel? Or seeing the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch? Or finding out what YouTube recommends you check out here at my channel? And of course, don't forget, get your geek on at the Gaming Gang.